Hi there, me again. Welcome back to the Route 66 series. Last time we visited Needles, California, the historic mining town of Oatman, Arizona, to see all the four-legged residents, and we even stopped in Las Vegas. Here's a few photos from that video. Unfortunately, our time in Arizona had come to an end, so we loaded up the car, said goodbye to the fam, and hit the road. We stopped in Seligman, Arizona to get gas, and I got out to take a photo while we were filling up. Further down the road, we ran into snow from Ashford to Flagstaff that was coming down heavy, so that was fun. Eventually, we made it out of the snow and continued the long haul to Tucumcari, New Mexico. That day, we drove about 11 hours and 700 miles in total, so it's safe to say we were tired and hungry. So once we arrived in Tucumcari, we went to Dell's restaurant, and while we waited for a table, I thought I should commemorate the meal with a photo. This turned out well. The lights look nice and glowy, the color is good, and I even like the little lens flare above the Dell's sign. I just wish I would have let a car go by to get a light trail in the street. Oh, also, this as well as all the other medium format photos in this video were taken with the Bronica and Pro 400H. After dinner and whatever these things are called, we went back out to shoot. First up was this Texaco station. I think my favorite part about this building is the Christmas lights.
No.
Next up was the Palomino Motel, which was right next door. This is one of my favorite photos of the night. The sign is so sharp, and there are a couple little details I really enjoy, like the mismatched chairs sitting out front, and the fact that I kept all the room numbers on the doors in frame. What I liked about this little office detail shot was the Route 66 sign and the Christmas tree you could see through the window, and having that guy standing at the front desk made it even better.
No.
This one is awesome. It's another super sharp photo. I love the shape of the sign and the little multicolored half wall on the right. I think a car's light trail might have looked cool, but that might have been distracting in this photo. Damn, this scene is cool. The Blue Swallow Motel is one of the most iconic Route 66 landmarks, and I can see why. I love the way the Pro 400H rendered all the colors, and how the light from the sign is bouncing off the ground and the car. The only thing I don't like is the Route 66 sign on the ground in front of the car that looks more like an oil spot. So, we have been out here for how long, you think? 20 minutes?
Yeah, probably about 20-30 minutes or
20-30 minutes taking pictures of all of the cool motels here in Tucumcari, New Mexico. It's just such a time capsule. It feels like we're in the 1950s. So, Right now, I'm about to take a picture of the motel. I think it's a motel, or maybe it's like an auto shop or something, called TP Curious. So, we'll see how that goes. These should be some awesome night photos if this film turns out. So, fingers crossed. Let's go take another picture. At this point in the night, I noticed something wasn't quite right with my camera. I didn't think it was advancing properly. So the TP place, the next location, the Roadrunner Motel, and a couple of other exposures got wrapped into one. And here it is. What you are looking at is an unintentional quad exposure featuring TP Curious, the Roadrunner Motel, Motel Safari, and the Blue Swallow Motel. Luckily, I noticed the issue and reshot a couple of these, so I only lost TP Curious and the Roadrunner Motel, which I could live without anyways. More on what went wrong at the end of the video. While I was reshooting photos, I found one more cool spot called Motel Americana, which had a really cool sign and nice lights on the front office. I also took a couple backup shots on Kodak Ektar 100. And just like that, our night in Tucumcari, New Mexico was complete. The next day, I loaded up some CineStill 400D into my Canon P to take photos of whatever we found on the rest of the journey. The first thing we came across was Glenrio, a very small ghost town on the Texas-New Mexico border. Glenrio has a lot of history for such a small place. Because it sat on the Texas-New Mexico border, gas stations were placed on the Texas side because of New Mexico's higher gas taxes, and the bar was built on the New Mexico side because that part of Texas was a dry county. The movie Grapes of Wrath was also filmed here. Our next stop was Shamrock, Texas. I'd been here before, but I wanted to get some more photos of the Conoco Tower, which is featured in the movie Cars. The first photo didn't turn out very well, but I love this second one. I like the little Texas plaque that gives us some subtle context, and it looks pretty good with the photo I took last time I was here. What'd you think?
Real cool.
We went inside for lunch and I took a picture of a booth that Elvis sat at. Don't sit there though, or you'll get all shook up. My last stop of the trip was this tire shop, and man was it a good one to end on. I love these images, even if they do suffer from a little light piping. Well, that about does it for this video, and this is the last video on this road trip. So I would love to continue making this Route 66 series. I hope you guys have enjoyed the 4 episodes that I've made so far. But to continue making those episodes, I've got to go back out there and explore a little bit more. So hopefully I can do that in the near future. But let's talk about that quad exposure for a second on the Bronica. So I think what was happening was when I was taking photos out at night, I was kind of hurried and I was in the middle of the street, not wanting to get run over by cars. So when I would advance the film, I would crank the winder really fast. And I think that was just making the gears skip and the film wasn't advancing at all. So once I noticed that the film counter wasn't moving or the frame counter wasn't moving, I just slowed down, started winding a little bit slower, and seemed to work fine. So luckily I noticed that and I was able to come up with some good exposures that night. And I am really, really happy with how they turned out. All of them look really, really sharp and clean, and just really happy with them. I kind of wish I would have gotten some light trails from cars in a few of them, but you live and you learn. In terms of places that I'd want to go next that I haven't been before, I'd love to go to Gallup, New Mexico, because when you're driving through Gallup on Highway 40, you can look and see kind of where Route 66 runs through the downtown in the distance, and it seems like it's got a pretty big stretch, and it's probably got tons of really cool old stuff to photograph, so I'd love to check that out. It's always cloudy when I drive through there, so hopefully on a sunny day. Um, Also, I would love to go to this little stretch of highway on Route 66 that I've passed by but never been on, and that is a stretch that runs from Ash Fork, Arizona, up to Peach Springs and down through, I think it's called Truxton, and there's a handful of other towns that run through that stretch there, and it leads to Kingman. So, yeah, it's just a stretch I've never been on, and I bet it's super interesting. With town names like Peach Springs, there's gotta be some Americana there waiting for me. So definitely gotta check that out next time I'm in Arizona. And I would love to go back to Shamrock because really close to that Conoco Tower is the Magnolia gas station, which is a really, really cool place. They've got a really cool sign out front with awesome exposed fuel pumps that are so cool that they used to have back in the day. So I'd love to go get a picture of that. And obviously, I need to visit the rest of the California Route 66 towns because there is plenty of stuff waiting for me in those towns. So hopefully, I get to do that sooner rather than later. I hope you guys have enjoyed the videos that I've made for this series so far. And yeah, I will see you guys next time. Bye now.